I'm Jacob Toller. I'm a hydraulic modeler. Recently finished the Jacobs graduate program, so I've now got about 2.5 years of industry experience. Recently, I've also picked up a bit of the flood modeler technical support role. So I sort of end up helping not just with sort of our own internal modeling projects, but any support tickets that come through. So what we're going to look at today. Again, I strongly encourage you all to make sure you record your questions if you get any at any point. What we'll have a look at first is sort of the history of Flood Platform, where it's come from. So the Flood Platform you're about to see is built on 15 years of previous development. It's a complete reimagination of Flood Platform based on a tried and tested internal only version we've been using for quite a while. It sort of stems from almost a QGIS connected database and a plugin going into a web app into the version that we're about to show you. Its core features were sort of parameterized run generation, distributed simulation, and post-processing of results, which allowed us to tackle larger projects with ease. In developing this third iteration of Flood Platform, we've taken what worked well about these previous versions, and we've also done a lot of discussion with members from the flooding industry. So this means other consultancies, our clients, and that's also bigger governing bodies such as the Environment Agency. We wanted to make sure that anyone who interacted with the flood model got their say, not just modelers. So that might be your flood risk management staff or civil engineers. We got a lot of consistent feedback, which we categorized into the following points. I'm fairly confident to say that everyone here has had frustrations with at least a few of these points here. It might be whether you're picking up a new model and finding out which files are associated with each simulation, or undergoing model quality assurance to make sure that it's suitable for your needs or for your client's needs, or even just collaborating with multiple people, including those outside of your organization. So let's take a look at the new Flood Platform and how we've taken these feedback points on board. So what we've got here is a basic overview of how the current Flood Platform works here. All of this is underpinned by cloud storage and compute provided by Azure. You shouldn't experience any limitations or bottlenecking, even with hundreds of simulations on large models, even if you're reaching into the terabytes for a single batch of results. It's not all about simulations. To allow the three main parties at the top to work their best, we've put a lot of effort into the experience of how you interact with models and the data, and how you handle results, and also how that best ties in with security and allowing other people to collaborate with you. So what we'll take a look at first is that model and data management part. We'll take a look at how it organizes your data, how it catalogs what's been uploaded, and how that works with security and collaboration. Again, I'd like to reiterate, make sure you put your questions in the question box. Please, please, please don't be shy about it. So what we'll do now is, if I drag this across, okay, so once you guys log on to Flood Platform, this is what you're going to see. The way that we organize Flood Platform is you can be a member of multiple organizations. These are all listed down the side. When you first start, there will also be a sandbox, which is pre-populated with a bunch of demo data which you can use to test stuff on. Maybe you see something in one of these demos and you think, I really like that, I want to go have a play with it. The way that we organize it is we have organizations. Within those organizations, we have team spaces. You might want to use these maybe for a performance unit or a client framework. And then within these team spaces, you have your projects. The other way that we can browse these is taking a look at the global viewer. So we can see actually where's the stuff that we're modeling. So we've got a load of stuff in the UK. And we've got lots of stuff going on in Australia as well. If I want to take a look at a certain project or team space, we can click on the View on Map button here, and it will show us just where that one is, and then we can go further and actually look at individual models on here. Going back into the list view, we've got this little gear icon here where we can see the settings for either a team space or a project. You can set a description here. You can tag it however you'd like to. You can also see who on your organization has interacted with a model or a team space by showing the inherited positions here. The seat system is something that we're quite generous with. So with every seat that you get, you also get a few viewer seats to go along with it. You can hand out these viewer seats to other people in your organization who don't need to edit or modify any results, but might need to interrogate results. You can also hand these out to someone who's outside of your organization. For example, if you want to show a client how your results are getting on, so they can have a look at the differences. And then we've got a full-fledged permission system, so you can keep on track of who's got permission to read, write, and view what's going on here. And we can also track down what's being used. So we can track our compute usage, we can track our storage usage. And at the team space level, this will also give a breakdown of actually which ones are using up all of our stuff. So here we can see the Clevedon one is taking up a lot of the space, while the Upton one isn't taking up as much. If I go back to here, when we upload a project, it will form a bunch of checks. So if I go on to upload checks here, it will actually, the way that we upload files to Flood Platform is you can dump a whole zip file of all your modeling data in. It will go through and explore, and it will figure out, okay, here's a simulation, here's a check file, and it will actually be able to categorize what's going on. The other alternative we do have is we can just upload data that's not a model, and it won't apply any post-processing to that, which is really good if you want to just use Flood Platform to transfer data between yourself and a client. Okay, so going back to the slides, touching up on transferring models. So this was sort of the driver for this is we've had issues with file size in the past, maybe upload portals or even company policy. And maybe this is a little bit of tooting our own horn, but this was a testimonial that we got from one of our own staff members who isn't a modeler. Shifting to data visualization. How many of you have seen this setup before? You've got your QGIS, you've got Notepad++, you've got Excel, you've got the File Explorer open, you've got all this open to just view one set of results and outputs from one simulation. We've tried to simulate that. We've tried to simplify that. So what we'll do is we'll go back into Flood Platform now. Okie dokie. So I'd like to point out this isn't supposed to fully replace existing methods of working, but to complement and improve where possible. So if we go into simulations, what we'll do is we'll take a look at the 1% here. We've got a summary of a bunch of different statistics all in one place, so we can see how long it took. It will also automatically categorize actually any scenarios or AEPs that happen. You've got some of your run statistics, time series, all in one place here. If you're technically minded and want to check what's going on, you've got a time breakdown for both pre-processing, running the model, and caching and storing results. We can also see different versions of results for one simulation. Do note that here it will just show the old 1D run bitmap, but for newer runs, it will show the updated plots that are interactive. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at the fun bit now. If we click View Results at the top, it will bring us to this lovely map viewer. So what this allows you to do is it gives you an overview. It will show you the DAT file and what's in it. If we go into models, we can also enable the 2D input data so we can see what's in the 2D. So we've got our 2D boundary. In terms of support, this is a Flood Modeler 1D model along with a 2Flow 2D model linked to it. And what we can do here is actually, if we click on our 1D node, we get our cross-section plot and a time series plot, and we can scrub along the timeline at the bottom there. This isn't just for Flood Modeler though. Where is it? There's a culvert down here somewhere, but I've seemed to have lost it. This also works for 2Flow culverts, so we can scrub along these and actually see how much is going through the culverts. There's a slightly better one down here that sees more flow. How does this work with collaboration? We've got a comment system here, so we can see some comments that Adam has left previously, including threaded comments, so we can actually put replies on it. And all you have to do is either click somewhere or we can reply here. This isn't just for our 1D outputs though. If I go to the results tab, we can also see not only shapefile check files, but we've also got raster data. So we can bring up depth and velocity here, or velocity as arrows, sorry. And this will rescale depending on how far you zoom in. And we can scrub along the timeline to view actually how does this model develop. I'm quite fond of this. It works significantly faster than some of the other options that we had previously. And we can tick on the maximum values here so we can actually see, okay, water's moving pretty fast here. And does it flow back in? Not really very much at this point. It's probably because we're looking at the velocity arrows. So it's flowing back. This is all handled sort of on the background of Flood Platform. If you notice, I am just running this in a web browser. It's quite snappy in terms of loading up stuff. You can also use it to compare results, so you can see the flood outline of your 1,000-year versus your 100-year and actually see, okay, this is getting much further. We don't expect modelers to be using this for everything, but this is quite good if you have flood risk management or engineering staff who are just trying to interrogate water levels through a culvert. Okie dokie. So what we'll do now is we'll go back to our slides. And we'll take a look at simulation, how that works. So we've kept it simple with licensing. It's bring your own two-flow license and all you can eat for Flood Modeler. You can choose your own hardware. You can choose hardware specs. We've tried to price these as competitively as possible. You can launch as many simulations in parallel as you want. This is really useful. This is something that I've got experience with. Last year on Flood Platform 2 for just a fairly small scale flood risk assessment in the middle of Birmingham. I had set up 190 odd simulations going to test a cross product of 3 different scenario parameters, all finished by afternoon of the next day. I'm sure some of you are looking at the unlimited licenses and the cheap run cost and coming up with ways to push that even further. And by all means, we do encourage you to. This is one of our in-progress use cases for it. While a lot of this is also leveraged on our history with large projects based on Flood Platform 2, we wouldn't be able to do that reasonably, even on this scale, without Flood Platform 3. And that's both for handling simulations and collating results together. With upcoming features, we're adding automated model checks soon. This is something that I'm personally involved in and quite proud of. It will be rolled out in stages so you can get your hands on them as soon as possible, and ranges between sort of simple health checks for stuff like sensible parameter values to more complex checks. And we're even targeting being able to eventually have as much of the EA's non-real-time model review spreadsheet automated as possible. Again, this isn't supposed to replace a modeler. This is supposed to sort of complement a modeler and make it easier to collect different values and statistics from the different files. And again, that's something that we've had a little bit of in the past. The simulation builder is something that we've got already as part of the older Flood platform, although there's still a fair bit of work to be done with that to get it polished and ready enough for us to be happy to release it.